It's lovely to see you all this morning, colleagues. Few familiar faces out there. So I'll talk to you because you'll be nice to me. So, your conference, we're next for disability equality. What I want to do is I want to start off with probably a bit of a grim picture, really, but just to talk to you about the picture we've had, the feedback we've had from members through some of our surveys, because we do a lot of surveys, as you will know. So I'm going to talk through some of that, just to give you a picture and a flavour of probably what you already know. But sometimes it's good to know that you are heard and you're not on your own. But before I start, I know that all of the sessions that you're having over this weekend, they've been chosen in consultation with your Disabled Members Advisory Committee, who are a very, very hard-working and very active group. So I'd just like to thank the members of that committee, because I know some of them are here today. And they are Bernadetta Amundi, Kat Downs, Joe Howard, Clive Bowles, Lara Morris, Michelle Toe, and Tracy Whelan. Thank you very much for all the hard work that you do. It's very much appreciated. So now let's talk about the information that we've had back from our disabled members. This is the information that's been captured from the Big Questions survey, which I know probably a lot of you in the room will have taken part in. So there were 1,209 teachers who did complete that survey and identified themselves as having a disability or an impairment. And there are 5 key responses where the disabled teachers deviate considerably from the responses of other teachers in the survey. So I'll just give you a flavour and a few of those statistics as they come out in the responses. So our disabled members were, as a result of their work, twice as likely to use antidepressants or take more antidepressants as a result of their work. 26.76% of disabled teachers reported this, compared to 12.3% of our non-disabled or non-identifying as disabled or impaired members. It's quite a difference. Our disabled teachers are almost 3 times as likely to use prescription drugs, and that's 17.6% compared to 6.18%. And they're 3 times as likely to have self-harmed, which is a really shocking statistic. Disabled teachers were more likely to think their job has adversely impacted their mental health. So 88.5% of disabled teachers said their job had affected their mental health, compared to 81% of other teachers. Disabled teachers are also more likely to say the job's impacting their physical health. So again, we have quite a difference there. We've got 77.6% of our disabled members saying that their jobs adversely affected their physical health, compared to 61% of other teachers. Disabled teachers are also more likely to be threatened with or subject to capability, performance, or effective teaching procedures. It's quite a shocker that that's still going on after the number of years we've been trying to campaign and getting good caseworkers and doing a lot of work around disability discrimination, that this is still as big a problem as it is. We've got 13.5% saying that they've been threatened with capability, performance, or effective teaching procedures, more than twice the number of other teachers. 6% of other teachers reporting that. 8.3% say they've been subject to the procedures, compared to 3% of other teachers. And 6.78% of disabled teachers say they've been put on support or informal capability, compared to 3% of teachers. So these are pretty grim statistics. They're not good. There are 2 questions on the survey where teachers are given the opportunity to write about their experiences in the classroom. And these were, you know, the freestyle responses. And I just want to give out some of those to you. It may well be that I read out something that someone here has put in. Don't worry, it was all anonymised. I don't know who you are. So there was a section on physical assault at work, and we have disabled members reporting, I was jumped on from behind and knocked to the floor, causing injury to my coccyx, 3-day suspension, pain for 6 weeks plus, still in pain when I sit, humiliated. Finger broken trying to prevent a child flipping tables. She was suspended for 5 days and was not even asked to apologise. Long-term injury to shoulder and neck since October 2021 when the assault happened. Moderate pain every day. A student ran into me at full force, breaking one of my ribs, and then proceeded to verbally abuse me for being in his way. He was given a one-day internal exclusion and then put back into my lessons. Abuse and violent behaviour directly connected to members' disability. We have a member reporting that Child A deliberately shouted and whistled to disrupt my hearing aids, and on another occasion hit me. We've got another teacher reporting frequent assaults in the form of aerosol sprays being used in lessons before they arrive, because the pupils know it triggers a reaction from that member. Hitting the back of the head by a pupil when the yard gate wasn't opened, both have resulted in absence from work and nervousness teaching certain classes, as well as breathing issues being exacerbated by it. Barging, pushing, defying classroom rules, fighting, play fighting, not respecting adults in the room, and as a disabled teacher, not getting respect for safe space by the students. We've got a whole range of reports of abuse and violent behaviour that's made disabilities worse for some of our members. One here, two year 6 girls were attacking another child. I ended up needing to shield him with my body. They attacked me, including throwing scissors at me, even after another teacher had removed the pupil that they were originally after. Had to visit my GP as I'm disabled and they hurt my wrists, had to see a physio, had to wear wrist braces for a week, and also had to up the prescription pain meds, which then triggered a bad patch of depression. Then when I had to go on a counselling list and lost work because too anxious and too nervous to go in. One pupil grabbed my crutch as I walked past, preventing me from lifting it, meaning all my weight went through my injured limb. I was only saved by colliding with the desk. If I hadn't been there, I would have squashed several children, plus the damage to myself. I am regularly pushed out of the way by the children. I'm incredibly anxious at every step now. Misogynist behaviour. I've been sworn at and had comments about my appearance and age from students. Regularly had parents question my veracity, professionalism. Twice had students, large males, push me around. One caused damage to my hand. Huge increase in toxic masculinity. I could go on. It makes me feel anxious and tearful and stressed. And I have to force myself into work. I have been teaching for 38 years and never felt this stressed. Another member was upskirted and had an unknown substance sprayed in their face and was verbally abused, shoved several times. Other members reporting just feeling generally unsafe in the classroom because pupils are seeing it as a badge of honour, and a mob mentality means the pupils feel they're powerful and can make all the choices not to follow the rules. Some reports of very traumatic experiences. One member simply said, I can't fill this in, it's too traumatic. I'm still trying to compartmentalise it. We also asked if people had experienced stress in the last 12 months and if that had exacerbated their disability. And we get lots of reports about not having enough staff, not having enough support to help them get through the work. I mean, the workload of teachers is already unacceptable, but it's really having quite the impact on our disabled members. I've got one teacher here reporting my ADHD assessment was ignored and the traits of my disability used against me. Someone who's been signed off for 5 months due to autistic burnout because of the working conditions. And that was in a workplace that claimed to be neurodivergent friendly. Another member, heightened workload caused an autoimmune disease. Multiple surgeries and hospital stays. Even though work was supportive, the workload has caused serious impact to that member's health. So I'm going to stop with all the very depressing, horrific statistics that we've got there. Colleagues, we do have a hill to climb, and the topic of this conference is where next. So where do we go next? Well, there's a number of things that we are doing ourselves as NASUWT, which I just will tell you about, and hopefully you will be quite pleased about. We have at the next TUC, Disabled Workers Conference, which is in Liverpool, we have a motion from NASUWT that will be going to that conference on tackling ableism. And that motion calls upon the TUC to launch a national campaign which calls the government and all affiliates to work together to eradicate ableism, to provide training for all union activists on ableism, to commit to stamp out all ableism and ableist practices within the trade union movement, campaign to raise awareness of the impact of ableism within educational settings, and campaign for greater awareness of disability history and equality through the lens of the social model of disability in all educational settings. So colleagues, we do have an NASUWT delegation who are going to that conference, and I'm sure that that delegation will speak very well and very strongly and get this motion passed through. It'd be great to get that one passed through. It's a really good motion. It's a very strong motion. And the NASUWT as well obviously continues to campaign within and without the union. And some of the things that we have improved upon in our own internal practices would include, we are now using Access Able for many of our conferences. Sammy, have we used them for this conference today? Yes, we have. Good. So Access Able provide accessible information for all of the venues and hotels and local areas where we go. And hopefully you will find that of benefit, particularly if there are any of you who are going to annual conference this year. Hopefully this will be of benefit for you. We continue to do things like improve our conference app, which you will all have had for today's event. And you'll notice on there that there are dedicated accessibility sessions in that section, sorry. And we always respond to any requests where we possibly can, any requests for accessible help from any member that gets in touch with us. I'm sure when you were all signing up for this conference, you would have been asked what you needed, what we could get you, and how we could support you. But colleagues, if we want to affect real change, that real change doesn't come from people like me, doesn't come from the staff, doesn't solely come from your active national executive members. The union is us. The union is all of you. If we want to take that journey to affecting true change, we need more members, and particularly members like yourselves, from this, and I'm not going to say underrepresented, I'm going to say not listened to. We need you to be active. We need you to take up the active roles. If you don't have a workplace rep, please consider being a workplace rep. Happy to talk to anybody about that after this session if they're interested in it at all. It is not as scary as you might think it is. We need disability champions in the workplace as well. Please consider being a disability workplace champion. But there are barriers to being active in the union, and we know there are barriers to being active in the union, but we're not sure we know all about them. So at last year's annual conference, we passed a motion on organising for the future. And that motion commits the union to taking an even longer and harder look at itself. That commits the union to making sure that we hear from those who are active, those who are trying to affect change, that we hear from them what the barriers are. What is it that doesn't help you be active in the union? How do you want to be active in the union? How do you see that activism? What are the things you think you want to do? What are the experiences you had? We need to know these things if we are to strengthen this union, build this union, and effect the change that we need for you and for every disabled teacher that we cover in our membership, and wider than that. Let's get some laws changed, colleagues, because that's what trade unions do. So you will get a chance actually to be consulted on that at some point. Any of you who are at annual conference, we will be looking to hear your stories, to find out about your stories. Part of the 2B motion is this whole listening exercise and consultation exercise. In every region, you have elected members who are feeding into task force and oversight group to ensure that we progress this. This is not just an exercise of we'll sit round a table and talk about it and do nothing. We will do things with this, and we need to hear your experience, we need to hear what you need, and we need to change things. And just finally, as well-being and workload have featured quite heavily in my talk today, you will soon be receiving a consultative ballot. Please vote. It is important. It's not an actual industrial action ballot vote itself, because those you have to post back, but it's still incredibly important. So when you get that email, please click that link, please give your vote, and please encourage others to vote as well.